From CTV News, Province-Wide continues. Here again is Diane Verneil.
Women are in the workforce in equal numbers compared to men. There are slightly more women than men at colleges and universities. But when it comes to a career in politics, men still outnumber women 4 to 1. And that's something Kitchener-Waterloo MPP Elizabeth Witmer wants to see changed. She's initiated a girls' government program, inviting 12 female grade 8 students from 2 Waterloo elementary schools to talk about getting involved in politics, even creating an action plan on the issue of organ donation.
If the organ and tissue donation topic was introduced in the grade 6, 7, and 8 curriculums, the younger generation would be educated earlier and become more comfortable with the idea of becoming a donor.
And 4 of those students are here with us today, including Kitchener-Waterloo MPP Elizabeth Witmer. And the students are Kristen Kelly and Jennifer Lorenz from St. Nicholas Elementary, and Katie LaFontaine and Shansa Salim from Edna Stabler. Well, you wanted to engage young girls in the political process. I mean, you've been an MPP for 21 years, so you speak with a great deal of wisdom and authority. Talk to us about the number of women who we see, or perhaps that we don't see, involved in politics these days.
Well, we're seeing approximately between 20 and 25% of legislatures occupied the seats by women. And I've always felt it was very important that we have more equal representation of men and women. And so I introduced this girls' government program, and with my 2 colleagues at Queen's Park, Sherry DeNova and Donna Campsfield from the other 2 parties. And our objective is to encourage young women to take a look at politics as perhaps a career, but perhaps they might want to work in other aspects.
It is interesting, though, isn't it, that if you look at the workforce, we have just as many women out there these days as men. And when you look at colleges and universities, we have more women than men at schools, post-secondary education. Why is it we only have, 4 to 1 women compared to men in politics?
Well, I think part of the reason is sometimes young women hesitate to go to Queen's Park because they have children, and they're concerned about who's going to assume those responsibilities or looking after the household. It seems that young women need to be encouraged. Women in general need to be encouraged to consider a career in politics, and men more readily identify as being able to do this. And once we tap women on the shoulder, they will consider it, but we seem to have to make that extra effort. So
you're doing some tapping here. It's curious, though, that you didn't go to high schools. Why did you decide to go to elementary schools and choose grade 8 students?
Well, I think because grade 8, I think all of us remember that as being a very critical year where young women are starting to seriously consider what they're going to do later on in life. And this is an age group that we believe we can tap into and hopefully raise their awareness of politics as a career, or just developing a greater understanding and perhaps encouraging friends to run for political office.
Okay, let me turn to the young ladies. I want to hear from them. So you had these meetings that went on from January to May of this year. So now, Kristen, is politics something you would consider as a career one day?
Yes, definitely. I'd love to consider politics as a career. Like, seeing a bunch of women in politics would be great because, like, as Elizabeth said before, there's not very many, so I think women would be really great to have.
How about you, Jennifer? Would you consider a career in politics now?
I would. After experiencing such a great program, it's really opened all of our eyes to politics and what's really going on. And after visiting Queen's Park and seeing what really happens on a day-to-day basis, I just had a great time, and I thought I could really see myself doing that.
Okay, Katie, does it appeal to you?
To be honest, I haven't really thought about politics before, and then as soon as we had this opportunity, I have been wanting to.
It made you curious.
Yeah,
what about you, Shansa?
I'm same with Katie. Before this experience, I really wanted to be a doctor, but after visiting Queen's Park and seeing everything, it was so interesting, and I'd definitely consider going into politics.
Okay, I'm going to stay with you, Shansa, and ask you, I know that you were having meetings. You picked a topic. Tell me about the topic that you decided to tackle.
We picked organ donation. Well, first we all had to research some ideas that we wanted to push forward and stuff, and we came up with organ donation because there's many people on the waiting list that die because they don't have a proper organ. So it was a really interesting issue.
What did you all decide on that issue? How are you going to take action?
Well, we've decided there were 3 main ways. Trillium Gift of Life Network, they help with organ donation and awareness. And we were thinking things like PDAs and PSAs, public service announcements, and actually introducing the topic into schools, grades 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
And so you could really start to learn about it more from a young age. And our last was when a person decides they would like to be an organ donor, there are people that can change that if they happen to pass away. They can say, I don't actually want this person to.
So you feel that you were able to make a difference with that? I know that you all paid a trip down to Queen's Park for a day. What did you think of the behavior that you saw there, Katie?
Well...
Were they behaving themselves that day?
Not really in question period. It was crazy. Like, I didn't expect it, and I haven't been to anything like it.
Yeah.
And I think it was a really fun experience.
Let me ask Kristen, do you think that if you got there to Queen's Park, could you help these people to behave a little bit, maybe?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
It was like Katie had said before, it was really interesting to see the behavior because you don't see that like every day in your lives, and it's kind of a unique experience, an opportunity to have that.
Now, Elizabeth, when you look at this group here and what they managed to accomplish, how do you keep this going?
Well, I'll tell you, I was so proud of these young women. They worked hard. They did their research, came up with an issue, they promoted it, we asked the minister a question. I think what we need to do is, my plan is to continue to go into the different schools and encourage young women to get involved. And I would hope some of them would take a look at this upcoming election, whether it's provincial and then municipal and federal, and that they would actually get involved working on campaigns, behind the scenes, doing whatever they can. They have an opportunity now to take a look at the platforms of the different political parties and get involved.
Well, someday I might be interviewing you as the local MPPs or MPs, right? We'll see. Thank you all very much for coming in and chatting with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Your mail and how to reach us are coming up on Province Wide.